Morning. Old, old is the sea today. A sudden stealth of age has torn away the texture of its youth and grace, and filched the rose of daybreak from its waters. Now lines of gray and dragging vapors on its brow heavily are drawn, and it lies broken as with centuries, though yesterday, blue-eyed and shadowless as a child's face, it held the promise of a luminous dawn. Though through its merry after-hours it bade the sun to pour its flaming mintage on the ocean floor, that by a conjurer's touch was turned to rarer treasure manifold, where jacinth, emerald, and sapphire burned, a fringe around a core of gold. Old, old is the sea today, forsaken, chill, and gray, and banished is the glory of its waters. Though through the silent tenure of the night it bade the sterile moon to multiply 1,000-fold its undivided light within the nadir of a richer sky, when every star 1,000 crescents glowed that, caught in wider conflagration, sent vast leagues of silver fire wherever it flowed, the waters of its shoreless firmament. But old and gray is the sea today, with the morning colors blanched upon its waters. Masks. What hidden soul residing within these forms, O sea, should every hour changing to time yet changeless be? What masks hast thou not worn, what parts not played, thou prince of all the revels in life's masquerade? Light-hearted as a jester the motley fits thy mood, as the gold and the purple thy statelier habitude. At dawn, a trumpeter preluding a day's pageant; at noon, a dancer weaving new measures around the furrows of ships with white sails; later, a courier with sealed tidings hastening towards the shore; at sunset, a dyer steeping colors on a bay; again, a sculptor teasing faces out of the moonlit foam on a reef, or carving bric-a-brac upon a beach, or fashioning with age-toiled hands a grotto out of limestone. The wind blows, and the master puts a flute to his lips. It blows again, and his fingers take hold of organ stops. The destroyer. Once more the wind, and thou dost go on an old familiar way in tragic fashion, as a corsair pursuing his prey with the lust of passion, falls like a burst of hail on an autumn yield, till every reach and gulf and bay is left with the stubble of life and sail, with the face of the waters like unto the face of the field. In retreat. Now, like a fugitive who on the desert sand a moment broods upon the life he split, and with averted gaze, circling the dusky ruin of his hand, surveys the ere but measure of his guilt, before a presence standing there that calls his name, in cloud and shadow and in whirlwind reads the inviolate scripture of the fates. Then full across the desert speeds until he falls, caught by the avenger near the city gates. So underneath the heavens' lighted scroll, ablaze with cryptic tokens of the slain, headlong to shore thy spiral waters roll, swept by the besom of the winds, by rain and thunder driven in flight along the galleries of the night, until upon the surge-line, locked in strife with reed and breaker, thou art shattered, soon in fang and sinew to be strewn around the cliffs that guard the ports of life. O wild, tumultuous sea! Thy waters mock our liturgy, for thou dost take the threads of faith apart, wherewith the cables of our life are spun. Strand upon strand unravelling, thou dost hear, recited from a tide-wet shore, our creeds, each hope and fear, filtered from life's confessions, one by one, out of the dumb confusions of the heart are spread before thy sight, the arch-inquisitor. How in ruthless moment dost thou strip the veilings from our eyes, and bid us cast our glances on a labyrinthine past, stirred by a flash that on a wave's white lip gleams for an instant, or by some dark sigh within thy fearful hollows, where night flings her crape of shadow on a tossing line of jetsam, will our years turn back to gather from a weed-grown track a bitter tale of dimmed rememberings. Reborn. As to its end the tempest drags its way, thou art reborn. to strength of body and beauty of face. And thou dost cover with a tranquil grace those whom the winds had buffeted, and laid upon the waters. Dead in darkness dost thou cover them, as some white-winged mother of the crags, that daily gathering food from seaweed and from tide-wash, brings at fall of night to her rock-nurtured brood the drowsy silence of her wings. The dead calm. How like a pontiff dost thou lie at last, impassive, robed at death's high unctioned hour, with those grave vestments that the storm, in the dead legacy of its power, around thy level form majestically has cast, in the pale light of the moon's slow tapers burning, all silent in the calm recessional of the tide's turning, all passionless, though on the distant sands, where the wreathed lilies of the spray, keen sifted by the late winds, are strewn, thy children call, their patient hands in prayer to thee uplifted.